Well, the WWF has asked me to do a commentary on the state of wrestling in 1998. I guess they figured Cornette's always good for a couple laughs. Well, I'm not really going to be too funny tonight. Because you see, I think the state of wrestling in 1998 stinks. I think WCW stinks. I think the NWO stinks. I think ECW is embarrassing. And I think the WWF stinks. And I'll tell you why. You don't have to go back any further than last week on Raw. You got a guy coming out dressed like a Christmas tree. You got a woman come out dressed like a reindeer. You got two adolescent mullet heads showing their butt cheeks on national TV and having a phony match for a championship. I think it stinks. I think it's disgusting. I think nobody has any respect for wrestling anymore. Where is wrestling? Not sports entertainment, but wrestling. You know, just a couple of years ago, I left my home in Tennessee and I moved to Connecticut, which is like trading a Hawaiian vacation for a bed in a cancer ward, to come to work for the WWF full-time, the biggest wrestling promotion in the history of the planet. And I moved to Connecticut with snow on the ground 7 months into the year, real estate prices that would make Donald Trump's hair stand on end, the rudest bunch of people I've ever seen, where English is a second language and traffic jams at 4 o'clock in the morning, but I think that's okay, because I'm with the biggest wrestling promotion of all time, the WWF. But over the last couple of years, I don't see any wrestling. They got some great wrestlers around here, but they don't have any time to wrestle because of all the falderall and the nonsense going on. You see what the problem is? The people running the two big promotions, one guy is a game show host wannabe from Minneapolis with phony teeth, phony hair, and a phony tan, and running the WWF, you got a whole office building full of Yankees from New York City that wouldn't know a wrestling match if it bit them. So they sit around all day listening to people on the internet. The people on the internet would know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. I don't particularly care what some Yankee from New York City wants to see. I want to see wrestling matches with wrestlers. I want to see real old-fashioned wrestling. I want to see some people have some respect for the traditions of the wrestling industry, have some respect for the sport of wrestling. I don't want to see sports entertainment and flying donkeys all around. I think it's garbage. I think it's insulting, and I think it's a shame to a fine sport like this. Down south where I come from, they know wrestling. They were brought up on it. They grew up on it, and they respect it. And I think it's about time that the promoters in the wrestling industry today recognize that wrestling fans watching a wrestling program want to see wrestlers wrestle. That's easy. It's not too hard to understand if you just think about it. But the problem is that nobody has any respect for tradition. Well, I've got news for you. I got respect for tradition, and I've always been associated with real, good old-fashioned wrestling, a sport of wrestling, not a circus sideshow, not a cartoon show, and if nobody else is going to bring some wrestling around here, then maybe it's going to be up to Jim Cornette. So that might be my New Year's resolution for 1998. I might bring some tradition, I might bring some real wrestling back, and clear this whole mess out, because I think it stinks. So there's my address, there's my opinion, there's my commentary. Do with it what you want. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, bye humbug, I'm out of here.